You've been taught to either chase hard or play it cold. One burns you out and makes you look needy. The other turns you into a statue that women glance at and forget. There's a third path, the razor's edge most men never master, where you're undeniably present but never available on command, where your attention feels like sunlight slipping through blinds, warm, precise, and never flooding the room. That edge is warm distance. It's dangerous because when you embody it, you stop negotiating for interest and start magnetizing it. The woman feels you. She sees that you're here on purpose, not as a beggar of approval. She senses you're drawn to her, but you're not collapsing into her. You create an invisible field that says, I like you, I enjoy you, and I'm still sovereign. And in that calibrated space between your warmth and your detachment, attraction grows teeth. Warm distance isn't a line you say. It's a nervous system you wear. It's not arrogance, withholding, or a trick, it's composure. It's the discipline of staying rooted in your direction while letting your interest show like a pulse under the skin. Think of it as the elegant middle ground between pursuit and passivity. You offer presence, not permission to be consumed. You extend curiosity, not compliance. You're not stingy, but you never pour your entire soul into an empty cup. If what you've heard so far is shifting how you see yourself, stay with me until the end, because we're just getting started and you're about to feel this in your bones. Start here. Before any technique works with her, it has to work inside you. Warm distance begins in your breath. Slow it down until your voice naturally drops half a step and your sentences land like anchors, not like leaves in the wind. In conversation, let silence be a tool, not a threat. When she finishes a sentence, let there be a fractional pause, 2 heartbeats before you respond. That pause communicates you are processing, not performing. It tells her you're not scrambling for approval, you're assessing, choosing, guiding. When you look at her, soften your eyes, then sharpen your focus for a split second on one detail. The corner of her lip as she smirks, the rhythm of her hands when she speaks, and then relax back. That micro-intensity paired with release is the visual version of warm distance. It lands as, he's here, he's tuned in, and he's not clinging. Next, calibrate your body language. Men who overshare space lean in and fold themselves around her energy. Men who ice out lean back like they're bored with life. You do neither. You occupy your physical frame fully, feet grounded, shoulders unlocked, chin level, and you move closer only when there's a reason. If she leans in when you make a point, you hold your ground for a beat, then close the gap by an inch, not a mile. If she touches your arm to emphasize something, let the touch land, breathe once, and continue. You're not flinching, you're also not lunging. Your message is simple. I'm comfortable with closeness, and I'm comfortable with space. That comfort is the oxygen of attraction. Desire needs room to breathe. You create that room deliberately. Understand the psychology, because this is where most men get lost. Attraction in the feminine thrives in the interplay between safety and intrigue. Safety without intrigue is friendship. Intrigue without safety is chaos. Warm distance bridges them. Your steadiness signals safety. You're emotionally regulated, you keep your word, and you don't collapse under pressure. Your restraint creates intrigue. You're not flooding her with your full blueprint on date 1, and you're not overexposing your need to be chosen. You reveal edges, not everything. Instead of unloading your entire life story, you offer textured hints. A boundary you keep, a passion you pursue, a standard you live by. Each reveal is a brushstroke, not the finished portrait. She leans in to see more because you haven't thrown the whole canvas on the table. Where men sabotage warm distance most often is in their relationship to time. They answer immediately, plan indefinitely, and then pretend to be unavailable as a correction. That's not warm distance. That's hot and cold confusion. Your rule is simple. You respond on your schedule without drama. If you're in the middle of your priorities, you finish them. When you reply, you bring quality, not apology. Caught your message? Looked intense. In a good way. I'm heading into a commitment, free later. Short, grounded, no theatrics, no fake scarcity. When you set plans, you set them with intention. Suggest a clear time and place with a rationale that feels curated, not random. If she's non-committal, you don't push, you pivot. I like the vibe of that spot Thursday at 8. If that's tight, let's revisit when you're freer. This is warm distance in logistics. Clarity plus ease, interest plus options. You are never in a tug of war with someone's uncertainty. Language is your steering wheel. Use words that infer abundance and preference rather than need. I enjoy, I'm drawn to. I'm curious about place you as the chooser, even when you're expressing attraction. They broadcast that you have a stable center. Avoid extremes like I need to see you or disembodied detachment like whatever. A good phrase to keep handy is, I like where this is going, let's not rush it. It's a pressure release valve that maintains momentum while preserving mystery. Another is, I'm selective with my time and I like how you think. It complements while reinforcing your standard. Notice how these lines carry warmth in the appreciation and distance in the boundary. During conversation, structure your rhythm like a tide. Share something vivid, an insight, a conviction, a unique experience, and then let it recede. Don't fill every silence. Let her reach for the next piece. When she asks a question that's too personal too soon, don't shut it down with a wall. Curve the response. I'll get into that when the timing fits it. For now, here's what matters. Then pivot to something real but less exposing. The frame is never, I'm hiding. The frame is, I pace intimacy intentionally. Pacing is seductive. It announces you won't be emotionally strip-mined for novelty. At the same time, don't withhold warmth as if closeness is a prize you're hoarding. Give it, then step back. Compliment a detail that reveals you notice, then move on. That answer was clean. You think in layers. Period. No gushing paragraphs. The moment you over-narrate your praise, you turn warmth into pressure. If she tests you, and she will, treat it like a dance step, not a courtroom cross-examination. Tests show up as flirty challenges, mild delays, sudden drops in engagement, or small provocations to see if you wobble. Where weak frames chase or withdraw, warm distance acknowledges and recenters. If she teases, you smile with your eyes and reply with a grounded observation that keeps the frame masculine and playful. If she takes hours to reply to a time-sensitive question, you don't send follow-up question marks. You let the clock do the teaching. Later, you address it lightly. I'm sharp with my time. If you need more space, say it straight. I'll adjust. No anger, just standards. If she cancels late without a solid reason, don't punish or plead. No stress. I protect my evenings. We'll reconnect when there's real commitment. Then go live your night. Tessellate your actions with your words or you'll train her not to believe you. Touch and proximity are where warm distance becomes electric. Your touch should be intentional enough to register and light enough to vanish. The back of the hand when you emphasize a point, the brief placement of your palm at the small of her back as you guide through a doorway, the 1-second stillness and release if you hug, these moments should feel like punctuation, not paragraphs. Your goal is to leave a trace without leaving a mark. If she initiates more, meet it with a breath and presence, then slow it down a notch. Let's stretch this out. That single sentence is warm distance in sensual form. You're not rejecting, you're refining. You're extending the runway so the landing is unforgettable. Texting is where most men set their attraction on fire and then throw a bucket of water on it. Keep your messages crisp, evocative, and forward-moving. Use fewer emojis, more imagery and words. Ask questions that create sensation rather than interrogation. What kind of conversation lights you up and steals your sleep is better than what do you like? When she sends a long paragraph, read it and respond to the essence, not every line. End highs early. If a thread hits a peak, shared laughter, a flirty reveal, exit on that crest. Your trouble, in the right way. I've got to handle something. Pick this up later. That's not playing games. That's curating rhythm. If this is hitting something inside you, drop your thoughts below. I read every single one because the nuances matter more than the slogans. Now, standards. Warm distance is impossible if you have none. You need a hierarchy that rules your life, not her mood. Mission at the top. Health and men you respect right under it. Deep work. Then, relationships that amplify who you are. A woman should feel you belong to something bigger than both of you. That doesn't mean neglect, it means primacy. You keep promises to yourself first. When your calendar reflects a life with direction, you're not faking scarcity. You're living with purpose. She feels the gravity. She also feels the mercy. Because when your standards are real, you're kinder. You don't weaponize attention. You don't punish with silence. You state, you model, You move. Let's talk boundaries with precision, because without them, warm distance collapses into warm confusion. Boundaries are not threats. They are pre-declared choices. They sound like this. I move slow on sharing private things. Earn it, and you'll get the full version. I don't do last-minute 11 p.m. hangouts. I'm early on my mornings. I won't be on my phone when I'm with you. Notice the structure. Self-referential, calm, specific. You're not policing her. You're defining you. When you hold that line consistently, your presence becomes trustable. Trust is the backbone of polarity. Without it, desire spikes and dies. With it, desire deepens and stabilizes. When she opens up emotionally, warm distance stays warm. You lean in with full attention, you reflect what you heard, you validate without rescuing. I hear it was heavy. You handled it. I respect that. Then, when the moment completes, you steer the energy back into lightness or direction. Why? Because you don't let conversations drown in intensity. You're a lighthouse, not a lifeguard. If she tries to keep the tone perpetually heavy or perpetually chaotic, you adjust or you exit. This is not cruelty, it's leadership. Masculine leadership is a calm current that says, we can go deep and we can resurface. And you demonstrate that with timing, not lecture. One of the quiet powers of warm distance is selective revelation. You choose the edges of your story that hint at depth without turning the date into therapy. Instead of reciting accolades, talk about the standard behind them. I don't break promises to myself. It took me a while to earn that sentence. Let it hang. She'll feel the weight without you listing every accomplishment, or share a failure you transmuted without indulging in self-pity. I used to overextend for people who didn't show up. I don't do that anymore. My yes means something, so I use fewer of them. Again, warm then distance. Openness, then a frame. You're real, not raw for sale. In group dynamics, warm distance separates you from performative peacocking. You don't need to dominate attention, you direct it where it matters. You include people, you observe, you pick your moments. When she speaks in a group, you track her with your eyes and a slight nod. You're with her without orbiting her. If another man tries to compete through loudness, you don't escalate volume. You refine the room with one clean line that resets the vibe, then let the silence amplify it. The feminine tunes to signal quality through calm confidence more than through spectacle. Be the man whose presence says, I've already been vetted by my own standards. Escalation is not a sprint. It's a staircase with properly spaced steps. A date that moves from playful banter to a shared viewpoint to a pocket of silence that doesn't feel awkward to a brush of contact to a deliberate pause to a change of environment is a date that builds charge. Pay attention to your exits and your transitions. When you shift locations, you don't ask for permission with needy eyes. You propose with certainty and room for her choice. I want a quieter corner. Walk with me. If she resists, you don't push. You offer a second option or you stay and re-engage. Later, when the connection peaks, you leave one notch earlier than your impulse to overstay. You talk to staff on the way out. You take the lead on logistics, and you don't linger in the doorway like a question mark. Your goodbye is clean, light, and hinting at continuity. This is worth a sequel. I'll set it up. After the date, your follow-up is the distilled essence of warm distance. A single text that anchors the best moment and points forward is enough. That debate about risk shaped my morning. Next time, bring your counter-argument. You've just reinforced the spark, integrated it into your life, and extended the thread, without performing love letters to a person you barely know. If she floods you with attention now, you receive it without drowning in it. If she slows down, you let the space widen without anxiety, then you check the connection once with clarity. Enjoy the energy. If timing's off, we'll loop back later. Then you step. Not because you're cold, because your time is a kingdom. Warm distance also governs your digital presence. You don't post to fish. You don't overshare your inner world to solicit emotional investment you haven't earned. You curate signals of life, not thirst traps. A snapshot of your work in progress, a moment with your circle, a glimpse of your discipline. You don't write captions that explain everything. Let mystery do some lifting. When she reacts, respond like a man in motion. You'd appreciate the behind the scenes more than the photo. Leave a breadcrumb, not a buffet. Let's address the fear that holds men back from embodying this, the fear of being misunderstood as aloof or uncaring. Warm distance does not mean emotional stinginess. Give generously, attention, laughter, genuine curiosity, then collect yourself. Think of a fireplace. It radiates heat, but it's contained by stone. The boundary doesn't reduce the warmth, it makes it usable. Similarly, your warmth is strongest when it has an edge. Without the edge, the heat spreads too thin and loses intensity. With too much edge, there's no heat at all. You're crafting a shape that holds the fire. There are specific lines you can use to embody this shape without sounding rehearsed. Let them be templates you adapt to your voice. When you want to compliment without surrendering your frame, say, "That perspective is rare. Keep it." When you want to slow down the pace in a way that increases sexual tension instead of killing it, say, "I like pressure, the right kind." Let's not rush a good thing. When you want to draw a boundary around time, say, "I'm stepping off in 15. Make this part count." When you want to avoid endless texting spirals, say, "This is better in person, Thursday works." When you need to address a misalignment, say, "I like your energy, I also like alignment. If it's there, we move. If not, no harm." Each line pairs care with clarity, invitation with criterion. What about jealousy other men, or the urge to prove yourself? Warm distance resists the trap of performance. If she mentions another guy, you don't interrogate or compare. You stay playful and grounded. You'll either find your level or you'll be bored. Either way, you'll know. Then, you change the channel. If she angles for validation by highlighting her options, you don't reward that currency. You return to reality. Options are easy. Energy that fits is rare. And then you continue on a subject that builds the connection or reveals a divide. If you feel the urge to outdo, breathe. Competitiveness can be attractive in arenas that matter: your craft, your standards, your growth. But competing for a person's attention trains you to need their scoreboard. You don't live on borrowed scoreboards. Sexual escalation through warm distance is devastatingly effective because you are both amplifying consent and sharpening desire. You make it safe to say no by making it easy to say no. Your verbal and nonverbal cues always keep the door to pause open. Tell me if you want to slow this. You play the long game in the short moment. When you kiss, you're not hungry. You're savoring. You pull back first sometimes, giving space for her to come forward. You notice breath changes, shoulder tension, eye softness. You read. You're not rushing to the finish. The irony is that pacing multiplies intensity. When you're capable of stopping, you become the man she doesn't want to stop. There will be women for whom warm distance is kryptonite in the worst way, because they only understand love as chaos or captivity. They'll push for instant fusion, constant contact, relentless reassurance. That's not a woman to mold. That's a mirror to honor. If you make exceptions to your pacing to satisfy a bottomless nervous system, you'll be swallowed by it. Offer kindness, not a rescue mission. I move better with space. If that's uncomfortable, I respect it. We might not fit. This is one of the most masculine sentences you can learn to say. It honors both of you. Attraction without alignment is a spark in the wrong forest. And yes, there are women for whom warm distance will feel like a relief. They've met men who suffocate with attention disguised as affection, and men who withhold affection disguised as power. You'll arrive like weather, fresh, grounded, alive. With you, conversations have contour, plans have backbone, intimacy has pacing. Disagreements don't become emotional hostage situations. You can say, "No, not like that," and the connection doesn't crack, it clarifies. You can say, "Yes, like that," and it deepens because it was measured, not automatic. This is the masculine presence women describe but rarely encounter. It's not a posture, it's practiced. Practice where it counts. Your mornings. Your first hour sets your nervous system. If you wake and flood yourself with noise, you'll chase all day. If you carve stillness movement and a single decisive action, you will walk into interactions with a raised baseline. Your breath is heavier, your eyes are slower, your words land. You can't be dragged into urgency because you've already built momentum. And then your evenings. Protect them. Don't become the emergency plan for people with poor planning. If you say you sleep early, sleep early. If you say you're unavailable during deep work, be unavailable. You train people by how you treat your promises, including you. A good exercise is to rewrite how you exit any interaction. Most men linger. They drift out of conversations like a leaf caught on the edge of a wave. You'll end clean. I've got a roll. Keep that thought sharp for next time. Smile with your eyes, gentle nod, then leave. Don't hover. Don't turn back for 3 bonus lines. You'll feel the urge to extract just one more beat of validation. Let that urge arise and pass. This trains you for larger boundaries later, where leaving 1 minute earlier preserves 2 hours of respect. Remember that warm distance shines most where men traditionally bleed, after intimacy. The average man either locks down with anxious cling or withdraws to avoid looking attached. You'll do neither. After intimacy, you'll bring presence without claiming possession. Last night was clean. I feel good with you. Then you go live your day. You don't script the next week, you don't disappear, and you don't check in every hour to keep her regulated. Your steadiness is the check-in. If she spirals or demands constant reassurance, you'll meet it with compassion and clarity. I like you. I also like air. We'll breathe this right or we won't. Attraction without oxygen becomes smoke. If you're tempted to overeducate a woman about warm distance, stop. You model it. You don't market it. You don't need to present a lecture on your boundaries. One sentence said once, plus consistent action, is worth more than weekly essays. The man who constantly explains is the man who doesn't trust his presence to communicate. Your goal is to be understood through your rhythm. That rhythm is the curriculum. The rest is ornament. Now, let's give you a baseline ritual before any date or interaction that matters. Sit for 3 minutes, feet on floor, spine tall. Inhale 4 counts, hold 2, exhale 6. On each exhale, let your shoulders melt and your jaw unhook. See the night in your mind. You arrive unhurried. You speak less than you want to. You smile with approval for your own discipline. You choose curiosity over performance. You finish strong and leave 1 notch early. Then set 1 intention sentence. I bring warmth and I keep my edge. Say it once. That's your compass. If you want to stack signals during a date without saying a word, pay attention to your micro-timing. When the server arrives, pause your sentence and incorporate them. Don't bulldoze. On the sidewalk, gently guide and release. Never clutch. When she shares something vulnerable, hold eye contact. Breathe once. Nod slowly, then respond. No rush to fill discomfort. When her energy spikes into playful challenge, hold a half smile, tilt your head slightly, and let a beat pass before you answer. That beat is worth more than any clever line. It broadcasts that your emotions are not a joystick. You don't reward provocation or punish softness. You remain the weather. Here's a counterintuitive truth. Warm distance makes you more generous because you're less afraid of being emptied. Men who refuse to set edges hoard warmth, then explode. Men who set rigid walls starve connection, then blame the world for being cold. You, with your calibrated middle, can offer presence freely because you have a valve. You can be fully here in a moment and fully gone in the next, not as a disappearing act, but as a man who moves where his attention is earned. This trains the women in your life to meet you with quality. Those who can't, release themselves gently from your orbit. Those who can, deepen. You'll know you're embodying warm distance when your invitations start to feel like offers rather than pleas, when your no lands softly but remains, when your attention is sought without you seeking permission to give it. You'll notice fewer fights and more clean clarifications. You'll catch yourself smiling at your phone instead of waiting on it. You'll feel the subtle shift from chasing to choosing, from asking to deciding, from performing to leading. And you'll watch how women respond, with relief, curiosity, and a steady increase in investment that feels organic because it is. If what I've said so far is game-changing for you, commit to 1 experiment this week. Remove 1 unit of excess and add 1 unit of presence. Fewer messages, more intention. Fewer explanations, more eye contact. Fewer last-minute shifts, more decisive plans. Journal 1 sentence after each interaction. Did I keep my warmth? Did I keep my edge? Track it for 7 days. Your awareness will do half the work for you. If you know a brother who needs to hear this, send it to him today. Don't keep it to yourself. Men rise better in packs than in isolation. Warm distance is not about making her chase. It's about making space where 2 adult desires can meet without one devouring the other. It's integrity disguised as magnetism. It's leadership without noise. It's you replacing the need to be validated with the choice to be select. The most dangerous part isn't what it does to her, It's what it does to you. It exposes the parts of you that collapsed for love and teaches them to stand. It reveals the corners where you used attention to buy intimacy and replaces them with earned closeness. It makes you confront your addiction to immediacy and swap it for mastery of timing. When you get this right, you walk differently. You speak as if you've already decided your value and you're inviting the world to confirm what you know, not grant it. So take this with you. You are the fire, and your edges are the hearth. Without the hearth, the fire rages and dies. Without the fire, the hearth is cold stone. Keep both alive. Bring warmth that can be felt across the room. Keep distance that makes approaching meaningful. Lead with breath, not noise. Offer without overflowing. Guard your mornings. Protect your evenings. Pace your intimacy. State your standards once and live them every day. That's warm distance. That's the man whose presence turns attraction from a spark into a steady flame that doesn't burn the house down. If this has shifted how you see yourself and how you move, make the decision to practice it this week and then come back and tell me what changed for you. I read every single comment because your calibration is the difference between friction and flow. If you want more of this in your ear, subscribe and stay close. We'll keep refining your edges until your presence does the talking for you. And if someone you care about is stuck between chasing and freezing, share this with him now. Men don't need louder opinions. We need cleaner rhythms. Start here. Walk out the door with warmth in your chest and steel in your spine. Let the world adjust to that.